Hello, storytellers. My name is C.A. Wilson. I'm an author and artist. I released my debut novel, Voice of a Pretender, earlier this year. Welcome to the channel. This channel is here for you to grow as a community of creative people. Whether you are a musician, a poet, an artist, or an author, or you're just curious about the storytelling craft, you are welcome here. You are supported here, and please everyone be kind to each other here. Now, if you would like to go on this journey with me, please subscribe below. Now, let's grab our cup of coffee or whatever else you would like to drink and start the video. Storytelling advice versus reality. Let's be honest, life is difficult. Storytelling is difficult. Put those together, the reality of some of the advice doesn't always fit every individual's life. Number one, write what you know. Now, I took this really to heart as a kid, and as a teen, and as an early adult. I thought, how am I ever going to write if I've had such limited experiences in my life? Living in Maine, there's not much city life. There wasn't much going on when I was a kid. But that's not what it means. It means take your life experiences that you have felt, your emotions. Everyone has felt awkward. Everyone has felt sadness. Everyone has felt fear, happiness, love, all of those emotions you have felt before in your life. Put them into your character. Develop your character in a way that you have experienced before. Human emotions transcend all genres. So use them to help develop your character, become real to the readers. That's what it means. And if you don't know certain aspects, research. If you only wrote in your limited life experience, we would have no fantasy. We would have no romance that takes place in a historical setting. We would have no science fiction. Star Wars would not exist. Star Wars can be written because we have felt similar to those characters at times. And if you haven't felt one of these emotions that you really want to focus on in your project, put yourself out there. If you've never been to an extremely crowded place, go to an extremely crowded place. Listen, look, feel what's there. And then write it down. Write down those feelings you have during these real life experiences. You can always go back and insert it into projects in the future. I know I wrote down a lot of my emotions during COVID-19 and went back and used them in certain aspects of my work. Yes, you have to change the circumstances sometimes, but the emotion is real and it's there. So use your toolbox and your own personal experience to make your writing unique. And that's what matters. Number two, plotting and planning. Before you write down a single word, you have to plan out, do an outline, develop your characters. You just have to know everything before. Now, I am not going to tell you how to plot your book because I don't plot anything. I'm what they call a discovery writer. Yes, I have a couple plot points here and there that I want to put my character through. Do I know my character through and through at the beginning? No. But I'll discover that person while I write. And when you're writing, you don't actually have to have it all figured out because you're gonna go through a lot of rewrites. And if you know everything from the beginning, your book becomes so predictable. Now, sometimes writers write on vibes. there's so many things you can do before you start writing that are not plotting based. You can make a Pinterest board. You can make a playlist. Do your homework. Research on the topics and emotions you are gonna deal with. Some people discover the story as they write through the rough draft. Everyone has a different journey, and their process looks different for everyone. The biggest thing first is to make your writing exist. Once you have it down on the paper, it's real. It has started to form into what you imagined in your head. How you get to that point where it's on paper is up to you, and you to figure out what your planning leading up to writing looks like. You're not wrong or falling behind if your timeline looks different than another person's. Everyone writes at a different speed. Everyone develops at a different speed. Sometimes you need breaks in between. That's okay. We are all different, and we all have different creative ways of developing what we do. And that's fine. It's actually great, because that way we have different narrations and different types of stories. I don't want you to think that you need to do all this stuff before you start writing. You don't need to plot. You don't need to make a map of the city. You don't need to figure out what every single character looks like. What you need to do eventually is just start writing. You can figure that out in another draft if the character has blue eyes or brown eyes. But I just want you to feel free to write your own way. 3, write and read every day like it's your job. If you don't have time to read every day, you don't have the tools to write. Most jobs are not 7 days a week. There's a reason why jobs have days of rest. It's so you can rest, you can re-energize. And I would encourage you to do that with writing. Take pauses to think, to reflect on your writing, to have those fuels come back. Now, if you write every day and that makes you feel great and you don't run out of steam, that is great for you. However, everyone's not that way. And if you are not that way, don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty that you can't do it. Also, don't feel guilty if you just don't have time in your day. We have a lot of things going on. Life is difficult right now. We don't need an added amount of shame or guilt on our plate. So have a system that works for you. This really means you need consistency in how you write. You're setting up a routine, like you would going to the gym, but this one you don't actually want an excuse to miss. Now, if you only have 1 day a week that you can write, that's fine. Set aside that time and do it every week. If some kind of emergency comes up during that week and you can't do it, that's okay. There's always the next week. And some days are not about writing. Some days you have to delete an entire scene when you realize it doesn't work anymore. Or sometimes it's just figuring out this one plot point that you can't get through, but you don't write a single word. Or maybe you write a paragraph. That's all you can do. The number of words on a page does not equate to your self-worth. So write on the schedule that works for you. Write consistently. And have moments that you take a break and self-reflect on what you wrote. Reflect on your writing. And yes, read. Of course, read. You want people to read your work, so you have to read. However, if you don't read one day, It's not the end of the world. If you end up not reading for a week, also not the end of the world. And sometimes it's great to take a pause on writing when you don't feel great about it and just read. Take in that pacing the author's doing or the imagery. In the end, figure out a schedule that works for you as an individual. You are not another writer. You're not another musician. You are you. So figure out what works for you. And don't let anyone tell you it's wrong. Number 4, show, don't tell. Show, don't tell is more show and tell. You can't have a story without both. It's finding the balance that is important. If you don't tell, you wouldn't have descriptions. You wouldn't have fantasy, world building. You wouldn't have magical systems. But showing really makes you connect with the characters and in the world. Just imagine if you told someone you loved them, but you never actually showed any love towards them. It is so much more important to show your love to someone than telling them that you love them in the end. But probably do both. Imagine a character that says, "I'm angry," but you see no anger in the character. You would feel very confused. So show that anger. And show that anger instead of just saying she's angry. Just grit their teeth, have their face turning red. There's so many ways to describe someone. Also, it's really easy to not see this in your own work. That's why you need people to look at your work to see your blind spots and develop your craft to see where you're telling too much compared to showing and how to balance that out. Number 5, writer's block. Writer's block doesn't happen only to discovery writers. It happens to plotters too. Saying that you're a bad writer for this is not the case. It can be from burnout. It can be from intimidation from what you're writing. It can be from your own perfection. If this happens, step away, take a break, go read something, go for a walk, take a nap, go get a cup of coffee. Keep your mind off of it for a second. Do something that makes your mind wander. Talking it out with someone can help clarify it sometimes. It can help you see it from a different perspective. Or you can write out of order. There's no rule on which order you can write in. Or you can just put a little sentence saying argument here and then write the next scene. Writing yourself into a corner can actually make your book less predictable. If you are able to work your way out of that corner, it can make your writing so much better. So sometimes writing yourself into a corner can actually improve you as a writer. Number 6, read and study your genre. Reading your genre helps you write better. Every genre has unspoken rules that are set to fulfill your reader's expectations. Yes, I agree with this, but I also agree that you really need to read wide. Read essays, read poetry, read literary, read your genre, of course. But also, there's so much you can learn with pacing, character development, plot, in every story. So make sure you're not just focusing on your own, because sometimes the best ideas are from an unexpected source. The reason why you want to read your genre is so you know it well enough that you can break the rules, and you can know where you can break the rules and where you can't. So read your genre, but also read outside of it. but also be aware in your genre to not accidentally rewrite the story you read. Now, I was writing a book about women's rights in a dystopian setting. I knew The Handmaid's Tale would be the exact niche. However, I waited until I wrote the first and second draft and then read it while I was editing the second. So it didn't have huge influence over the plot, but did influence some storytelling aspects. And my one advice, learn to take criticism. This is hard. It's hard to take in, and it's actually hard to give too. It's the death of the ego. It really hurts sometimes. You may go through the stages of grief with it. That's okay. It may make you believe that you're a horrible writer when you're not. So learn to take criticism. The feedback that you're getting will make you a better writer. It will make you see where you have to improve, even if it hurts. You need to accept constructive criticism. I'm not talking about ones that insult you personally. If someone is insulting you personally, don't read it. This is why critique partners are important. Beta readers, sensitivity readers, editors, producers, and many more. Everyone has their blind spots when you're creating, and in your head, this story makes full sense. It's getting it on paper to make what is in your head make sense. And sometimes you need to just kill your darlings and throw away some of the work that you worked hard on, but doesn't work in the scheme of things. Even if you love that scene. But if it doesn't push the narrative forward or develop the character, sometimes you just need to start over. But at the end of the day, I want you to know this is your piece of work. So if you disagree with something and you have fully gone through those stages of grief and looked into the work and you're like, no, I still really want that one thing in there. It's your work. You can keep it in there. Critique partners aren't like holding you hostage to change this. Keep it in there if you want. But also reflect on what they're saying. And if what they're saying is justified, you might see a different way to express your story. And to the people who will be the critique partners, please be kind. This work people put their heart and soul into. So tell them what is good and bad. We need to know what we're doing right compared to what we're doing wrong sometimes. Sometimes we can't see the difference. So we really need to focus on that. Plus, a criticism sandwich is always the best. You gotta have both in there. And explain why it doesn't work. Finally, I'm gonna leave you with a writing exercise. Write a sequence of a brief, stunned event that someone has a close encounter with an extraterrestrial and or a UFO. This is an event that's a recollection, but it just happened. Try to write 500 words. Now, whatever alien you've come up with, please comment in the description of what your alien would look like. Also, if you have any other writing advice, please put it in the description and we can read them together.